Panther tank is one of the most famous medium tanks in history. However, there were concerns that it did not have sufficient armor for protection against anti-tank weapons that would be encountered on the Eastern Front in 1943. Of particular concern were Russian 14.5mm anti-tank rifles, as they could penetrate the flat 40mm lower hull sides of the Panther at close ranges. These concerns lead to the development of a new Panther design, the Panther II, featuring a single-piece 100mm frontal plate and 60mm side armor. At a meeting in Nuremberg in February 1943, the chief design engineer stated that the current Panther design did not meet specifications derived from experience on the Eastern Front. Therefore, the Panther would be redesigned and incorporate components from the Tiger tank, such as the final drives. The suspension and turret would also be redesigned and modified. This newly designed Panther was to be the Panther II. A new turret was also designed. The Schmalturm, or narrow turret, was a narrow turret designed by Daimler-Benz, designed to increase armor protection, provide a smaller target, and eliminate the shot trap of the previous curved mantlet design of the Panther. Daimler-Benz design called for a turret ring that was 100mm larger than the current Panther turret ring to allow for the 8.8cm L71 gun to fit. Ammunition storage in this Panther would also decrease to 56 rounds due to the larger size of the 8.8cm rounds as compared to the smaller 7.5cm rounds. A wooden mock-up of the Daimler-Benz design had been completed. Krupp had previously drawn a sketch of the 8.8cm L71 gun mounted in a Panther Schmalturm with a little modification as possible, and most notable of which was the relocation of the trunnions of the 8.8cm L71 gun. This would allow for the 8.8cm gun to fit in the turret. Krupp had been awarded a contract to develop this design further on the 7th of December 1944. Finally, at a meeting on the 20th of February 1945, Daimler-Benz was put in charge of developing the turret and Krupp was put in charge of the gun. This upgrade to the Panther tank increased the thickness of the plate from 80mm to 100mm, the side hull armor from 40mm to 60mm, and decreased the armor on the top hull from 40mm to 30mm. Much of the Panther II's design was taken from the Tiger tank. On 10th of February 1943, the chief design engineer suggested redesigning the Panther II and incorporating Tiger components such as the steering gear, final drives, the suspension system and turret based on Eastern Front experiences. The total weight would have increased to more than 50 tons. Another meeting focused on sharing and standardizing parts between the Tiger II and the Panther II, such as the transmission, all steel 80cm diameter road wheels, and running gear. A number of engines were under consideration, among them the new Maybach HL234 fuel injection engine, planned to be of 1150 shaft horsepower output and weighing only 450 kg without its transmission. Only 38% of the weight of the Panther's standard Maybach HL230 gasoline-fueled piston engine. The engine would have given the Panther II an increased 200 horsepower, which would have made it faster than its predecessor, though it was heavier. The Panther II required 5 crew members to operate. Its turret accommodated 3 crew members, the commander, the gunner, the loader, whilst the driver and radio operator sat in the hull, in an arrangement identical to the Panther. Thus, plans to replace the original Panther design with the Panther II were already underway before the first Panther had even seen combat. But from May to June 1943, a final meeting was held where it was decided that production of the Panther II would cease. The entire work would focus on the Panther I. It is not clear if there was ever an official cancellation. The Panther II would meet its end in summer 1943, largely at the hands of the 5.5 mm armored plates called Schürzen or skirts. Schürzen were fitted on the sides of the German Panzers in order to provide protection against Soviet anti-tank rifles, and these would be fitted onto the Panthers in 1943. With the fitting of Schürzen onto the Panther, there was no longer much need for the Panther II, and further development and work was largely ended. A single Panther II hull was completed in Nuremberg. The sole Panther II hull would later be captured by the Americans at the end of the war and shipped to the Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland, USA. A Panther Ausführung G turret with a chin mantlet would be mounted on it. The Panther II hull with the Panther G turret still survives to this day. It was taken to the Aberdeen Proving Ground and then later moved to the Patton Museum. The Panther Ausführung G turret was placed on the Panther II hull as a placeholder.